Maybe we should
Um,
only do these in the morning.
I don't know. I feel I feel like it might be in our best interest that I'm slightly sedated in the evening.
Welcome to Love in Brief, a brief ABDL advice podcast focused on issues of love. And that's love for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, that's love for others, that's love for the community. And speaking of the community and love for others, one of the people that I love is here to talk about their love for the community via CAPCON. Hi, RNT.
Hi.
I'm so glad to get to process and learn with you and from you. I didn't go to CAP this year, so this is my vicarious experience of your experience at
Well,
CAP.
and you not going is actually the result of an outpouring of love for one another, which was us allowing each other to have our own individual experiences
Mm-hmm.
post
That's right.
breakup, which I have sort of spoken about a lot with you, but um, I'll say it here too, just in case you ever forget, so you can play it back. I
Mm.
appreciate so much because despite all of our good communication and everything that we've sort of resolved and been through together, it was really hard to try and imagine us having our own individual experiences the
Yeah.
first time back. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate going alone, and I appreciate that you got to go. I'm sure it was kind of a differently fulfilling experience
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. And in hindsight, I'm really, really glad we did it this way. I got to go
Same.
have last year, an experience that, we weren't feeling sort of each other's vibe, and it would have been fine to run into each other and things, but to go have the experience without having that heartache, kind of right there,
Yeah.
and knowing the other partner was behind them. I knew that you were behind me going and having this great experience, and now you got to do the same. So I'm really glad you came up with this idea, and I'm really glad we did it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am glad for a reason I didn't expect, actually.
Hmm.
So I kind of always assumed, wrongly so, and this is on me, but that there was not that no one had like an individual opinion of me because you and I had been together for over 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and um I kind of you were way more extroverted, you had way more connections, strong connections, and I always I have a bad habit of, ever since I was an actual wee one, feeling like I have very strong relationships with people because I can remember the things about them and I know how I feel about them, but then finding out like, oh, you actually haven't spoken very much. So they may
Mm.
not know very much about you. And our community came together and let me know how stupid that was. Like, they told me how they felt about me in a real
Mm.
way. And my heart was so like overflowing with excitement and love by the time we left, because people would
Yeah.
say, I've always thought you were blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, you thought about me
Oh,
by
well, of
myself?
course.
Like,
Yeah.
that makes me so happy. Like, I just did, but I know that's like, I'm not meaning to be self deprecating in any way. It's just something I did not, I was really worried I would go and people wouldn't know know me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? But I
Yeah.
felt really known and loved, and it was just goes to show you you can give out a lot of advice and still need a lot of advice.
Oh, for
and
sure. Yeah, and,
and
and you
still be
got to
very
experience
wrong.
yeah, and you got to experience that just as you. It wasn't RY and you.
Yes, so I've always experienced the podcast as sort of the front, like, of people's opinion, and so when they give feedback, I'm like grabbing it and putting it into the podcast basket, like, here,
Mm.
podcast, here's more and more love for you, like,
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
so wonderful, I'm so happy. But then I had friends that we've had for a very long time come and say, I've always thought you were such a insert really kind thing here, like,
Mm.
kind person and funny person. And I was like so excited and so like, it boosted my self-esteem in a way that I did not expect to have it boosted. I thought, I didn't think about it at all. I didn't think it was going to happen, and it was just so lovely.
That's wonderful.
So thank you to anyone who reached out to me this past con week and said something kind. I I may have been sort of awkward in the moment or like, I don't know, goofy smiling, but like it really meant a lot to me.
I love that. I mean, I had a similar experience when I went without you last year, where I was really worried that the love that we get to experience in the community was like, you have these thoughts that like it's really about the couple, right?
Yeah.
And I'm only I'm only that level of loved because we're together, or because we put out these hot pictures of you, or whatever it is. You make up all
Yeah.
these reasons why there's no way that you're worthy. And then you go solo, and people still love you, and they love you for you and not for me, and vice versa, right? And
Yeah.
not just for the podcast that we make, but because it's you. And
Yes.
we come up with all these reasons why I can't possibly be the person that you love. But no, for
Yes.
sure.
Well, I was so, yeah, yes, I was surprised in the same way you were. And I was really excited. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a ton of expectations, but the ones that I did have caused me to be really nervous on the drive up. And
Mm,
on the ride down, I was just giddy and relaxed, and it was wonderful.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
Well, so I want to dive into the experience, because again,
Yes,
I,
yes,
I want
yes.
to live vicariously through you. And I know we'll do a longer show where we interview a couple of other people who have experienced this convention. For those who don't know, we're referring to CAPCON, the Chicago Age Players Convention, which here in the U.S. is the biggest ABDL convention that I know of, and it's become sort of an annual. I don't know. It's epic. I don't know how else to describe it. It's
It's
huge, and there's
epic.
so many cool people there. And every year we just all look forward to it. And those who can make it, it feels like you're reuniting. And so RNT just got back from the
Yes.
con.
I was gonna say before we get started, can I put like a little kiddo on the carton, on the milk carton, ad out for someone who I'm actually hoping to connect with for this longer podcast where we interview people?
Sure. Somebody's gone missing.
Uh, sort of. Only for me,
Oh,
not in general. So I spoke with someone at the con who it was their first time, and I don't want to call them out in the on the off chance that this is they don't want to have sort of a public um, eye on them at all. But if they do, we played a lot of Uno together, and you taught me all of the really hardcore rules. And it was your first time being around others like you. And I would love to have you on to interview you. I already found as well a couple that I'd love to um, have come on because it's also their first time and their experience was really unique as well. So,
so if you are that person and you know who you are, how should they reach you?
um, so I am Road Not Taken on VetLife. You can also get in touch with us. I sort of waxed poetic about how much fun it was to meet you to Resonant Yes. So if you contact Resonant Yes on Tumblr or on Instagram, you can get in touch with us that way too.
Hmm.
If you're old school and you just want to email loveandbrief@gmail.com, we'll also get you to us.
Awesome. Yeah, you know who you are. Reach out. So we will do that episode coming up. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, how was the experience for you? What was it like to go to CAP?
It was sort of surreal at first. After all this time away, after all of this quarantining and not being in big groups and not really engaging in a social setting in my kink, it was so surreal. There were I don't know how many people they've had in the past, but that felt like the most people I have ever seen at one
Mm.
of these conventions. And they went above and beyond. We had a carnival. There was a emo prom. It was just the most wonderful experience. And there were people who are some of my best friends that I don't get to see unless, something big happens. Um, because of flights and long, and like time differences.
Hmm.
And they were there, and I was just so like overjoyed at at the result of going to, like, I was so overjoyed about going. It was amazing.
You had mentioned being nervous, on the drive up about how you might feel or how you might be received. What were you nervous about? Because I'm sure there are other people after maybe, a couple of years of quarantining and then they couldn't go last year, whatever. And they're like, boy, I haven't been in a while. I'm thinking about going next year. What were you nervous about? And what did you learn about that afterward?
So I was really nervous on a couple of levels. I talked a little bit about being nervous about people not really knowing me and not really caring to know me. I had this fear that I was just sort of going to be a boring, so people were going to see me and go, she's kind of boring, or
Mm,
not really into it. I was also worried that as a result of the last year or so of quarantine and just our divorce and everything, I've gained weight, and I haven't been able to get it off. And I was really nervous people were going to feel bad for me or feel like grossed out
mm,
by me, and just
mm,
all these fears that I had that everybody has
mm-hmm.
whenever they're going into a situation where they haven't seen people for a while or they haven't been in contact. And you want to be able to go up and say, here's all the reasons that I am like this or that I feel
Mm,
like this. And you don't get that opportunity right off because A, it's super weird if you do that. And B, it's just not, I don't know, it's not socially what people do.
mm-hmm.
So I was really nervous about that.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's a really vulnerable thing. And I'll tell you, last year I felt the same way, again, with quarantine, the divorce. I did the same. Like my body is not in the shape that it was a couple years ago. And I was worried too that like folks would see me and go, oh, I remember this younger, fitter RY, or even worse, like kind of pity.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, those self-shaming voices can be so hurtful and so strong when you haven't been around folks for a while. And
Yeah.
and what was the reality when you walked in the door?
The reality was that our friends that we've had for over 10 years, some of them, I really should have given them more credit. Uh,
Mm,
that was on me. It was mostly just giant hugs and really warm embraces, and I'm so glad to see you, and just joking, and instantly it was like time hadn't passed,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and that it didn't matter. It didn't matter how big or small I was. Nobody brought it up.
mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter that you and I had separated and gotten divorced. It didn't matter. People approached me as me with the same love they did in all of the past years when we had conventions and parties and just small gatherings. And I don't know why I was so surprised. Again, that's on me. And like, had I mentioned that to anybody, I'm sure they would have been hurt because I
Mm,
would be hurt. But like, there's just no accounting for how hard you are on yourself and how worried you
right,
are
right.
about disappointing your friends and disappointing people in general. So
That's a cool call out to say like really. You said this is on me. I underestimated our friends.
I underestimated our friends. How they, I underestimated my ability to be loved as well. Like the
Mm,
ability of them to look past all of my perceived shortcomings or, you know, I know how much you are loved by the people who know us. And so I thought that they were going to be like, well, if they don't go together, then we don't like her. Like, you know what I
mm.
mean? Like,
Oh,
and
like there
that's
was,
really unkind of
yeah,
me.
like there was this chasm that they have to pick one of us.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
that's not reality. Life is not black and white, and our friends are smart enough and kind enough and open hearted enough, or else they wouldn't have been our friends in the first place,
for
to
sure.
like not live that way.
Yeah, and I think it would be different if we were like, oh, if I was walking around saying, boy, I really don't like Road Not Taken, and here's all the awful things that she does and is and whatever. But
And she snores
she snores,
and
but
she
like
grinds her teeth.
neither of us feel that way about the other. So I also don't think we've built an environment where they would have a reason to feel that way.
No.
So if there is a lesson in that, if there is wisdom to be gleaned now that you reflect on that, um, what is that wisdom of what you expected to happen or was afraid would happen and what actually happened?
I think it's a little bit of a scary wisdom because it requires you to be a lot braver than you feel.
Hmm.
One of our friends told me, rightly so, in a moment where I was trying to like push off a compliment, your modesty in this moment is misplaced.
Ah,
And I think saying something similar about this, your self-deprecation in this moment is replaced. You have to give people the chance to be the people you've always known them to be before you assume they're going to be
mm-hmm,
unkind to you. And
mm-hmm.
it's hard to do if you are like me and you've experienced trauma in your life and you want to prepare for the worst case. Just, be prepared. But it just doesn't. I mean, I wasted so much time being anxious.
Yeah.
Wasted it. Just absolutely wasted it when I could have just been excited.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
played so much this time. And thank you to everyone who did hang out with me in that space and everyone who helped make that happen. My partner, most of all, who just kept insisting that I like dive back in.
Hmm. That's so good.
And for all I've loved the past caps, I've complained to you, RY, that I haven't gotten to really get into little space
Yeah.
because we are kind of on our preparation game for the live podcast, or we're catching up or talking to people. And I loved this year being able to like play, just, you know, meet people who were like, you're doing trains. I want to do trains. And then
Hmm.
I was like playing with them and it was just so great. And then later they'd be like, what podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd
I
be
mean,
like, don't worry about it. It's great.
yeah, I know in the past that you really have felt like you didn't have little time and
Yeah.
or you just couldn't get in that headspace. And it's interesting because the podcast is obviously such a passion point for both of us and something, we
Yes.
both work really hard on. Um, and at the same time, I think there is, at least for me, and it sounds like perhaps for you, there is sometimes, as you said, the podcast absorbs the compliments instead of realizing that like that's also not who you are. That's just a part of who you are. And you have all this other wonderful, little space and this playful person that is not at all the podcast. It's just another facet and you get to experience just that.
Yes. That is perfectly put. They're both really beautiful in their own right. There wasn't a ton of people who were coming up to me and talking to me. There was a few, which it was wonderful when they did, but mostly I was just running around like a weird little chicken with my head cut off. Like
Yeah.
it was perfect. It was really good.
Does that mean no more live podcasts? Am I running these by
No,
myself? Oh
no,
no.
no, 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 no. I had wondered for so long that I really wanted to experience it the way I saw others experiencing it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I don't think I need to have them separately now. I think there's a lot of black and white thinking that I needed to dispel on my own um, this past week,
Yeah.
and it was really good.
That's a
It was
great
really good.
That's a great reminder to me to when you talk about black and white thinking, both about how you will be received and welcomed back by your friends, and about I can either be the person who does the podcast or the person who is little and playing, right?
Yeah.
And just questioning that black and white thinking going into an event like this. There's something so catalyzing about a big event like this that does put everything into sharp focus for a little bit, and what an opportunity to have that reflection. We're surrounded by such wisdom
We
all the
are.
time in this community, and it does take an open and uh, vulnerable heart and mind to receive it. So I'm so glad that you get to experience that. I do want to know about the fun stuff. For
Yes.
when you say played, maybe people who have never been to a con don't know what that means. What does that mean when you say I got to play?
Okay, well, there were so many rooms, and I don't remember there being this many rooms, but like there was the like little baby room with all of the like tricycle, there's two tricycles, there's two walkers, there was all these games, all these blocks. The room was constantly full of just people running around, and they even expanded like there's a toddler room where the baby room used to have, or the baby slash toddler room used to have the little log cabin in it. And this time, and maybe last time at Summer Cap, I don't know, there were two houses. There's a log cabin and a princess castle in a separate room with a giant rocking horse. Like there were
Hmm.
two middles rooms and a middles area with couches and all these board games. There was a room with just like lots of cribs in it, and then there was another room that was a sensory room. They had a giant jungle gym, which I spent an inordinate amount of time on. Um, it was almost like, so I had friends who were with us who walked around with us for most of the con, and I was like, "Do you want to go back on the jungle gym?" And they were like, "Oh God,
Here
okay,
we go again.
yeah, sure, why not?" But like, it was just so much fun. I ran around the whole time with stuff to do. It was
Hmm.
brilliant. And
Yeah.
it's the kind of environment where I was able to sit down with my partner and a couple of friends and start playing a game of Uno.
Hmm.
And then there were like three or four more people, then three or four more people, then three or four more
Hmm.
people. And then suddenly it was a giant game of Uno with new friends.
Mm.
And it was the same with like I started playing with trains, and it was just me and my partner. Then it was me and my partner and two people. Then it was me and my partner and two people plus their four friends. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is the best thing ever.
Yep. Yep. And it's cool because I know that you're introverted, right? And
Yes.
so it may have been in maybe other contexts more difficult, like if you're at a munch or something, to sort of reach out and say, hey, new friend, let's make new friends, whatever. In this environment, it sounds like it just sort of happened. Like you were just being you, and people joined in your play in a way that it sounds like was pretty good for you.
And they were so wonderful. And sometimes it was me walking in. I mean, I think their friends at the train, I met them earlier that day because I accidentally walked into the most ridiculous fun game I'd come across, which was one of the littles brought her Barbies
Hmm.
from home, and they were all dressing them up as the most like extra trashy grandma that they could, and then coming up with stories for each of them. And they were like, come on,
Oh,
you have 60 seconds before the end of this game to dress up your trashy grandma and come up with her backstory.
oh,
And I
that's
was
great.
like, oh, okay. It was just like so creative and adorable and fun, and everybody was just so cute, and I was so excited.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
love like that. That's where the adult in AB kind of shows up, right? Like you're doing this very childish thing, but you're also engaging in this kind of fun, cerebral, creative game.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
they had come up with it and just hit the nail on the head, because we were all giggling like fools whenever we started talking about these grandmas, because we could like identify them as people we knew.
Hmm.
like I think one of mine was, your grandma is the kind of grandma that goes to like the Cracker Barrel gift shop and gets all the gifts, and they smell like smoke by the time she gives them to you, and they were like, that's my grandma. And like then one of them was just like, she's never given up on the 70s, she's still wearing all her old, it was just really it was just so cute.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing that immediately immersed you,
Hmm.
you know. And then there was, like you said, that cerebral, the adult and AB, the kind of thing that keeps you really in
Mm-hmm.
that learning, growing small headspace. There was a person in the preschool room who was teaching us how to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes in Japanese. And so it felt like you were doing, and it was doing something totally new that was totally small.
That
And
is
so it
brilliant. That
completely
is
immersed me.
brilliant to do it in
Yes.
another language because it really is like you're a toddler learning something for the first time.
And none of us could say, I mean, there were a couple of us who knew it. They were like the smart kids in class whose parents had taught them at home how to do
I
head,
see.
shoulders, knees, and toes. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
there were most of us who were saying it completely wrong as we were trying to do it. And it was just, it felt so much like being new, you know, like
Yeah.
to the world. And also then they read, I don't know what their pronouns are, but they read um, a book to us and started incorporating Spanish words
Hmm.
into the book. And so they would say, "Does anybody know what that one is?" And like one person would be like, "Pesos," and I was like, "I don't know."
Hmm.
So like it was just really, really, they did such an excellent job, and also know so many languages. You know,
Yeah,
that
that's
was such a cool idea.
and you genuinely learned something
I
from another
did.
culture. That's so cool. I know our close friend and friend of the podcast, Valentili, talked about on one episode about the power of using multiple languages and in helping you feel little and learning something
Yes.
new. And it sounds like it really came to bear here.
Oh, Valentili hit the nail on the head. I had not had an experience that was so, that was like that before. It
Yeah.
was really cool. And then also someone who we'd interviewed on the podcast before, um, in the past, had come up with a game at CAP in the jungle gym. And so
Hmm.
I got to learn a brand new game and play it, like a brand new kids game, and play it with a bunch of other littles. And that
Mm.
also felt so authentic and just, I don't know, I was giddy. I was so excited.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, it's a great reminder that like whether you're an AB or DL, it can be tempting to think of CapCon as just DiaperCon, right? But
Yes.
all of the things that you're describing, I haven't heard that word once. I'm the first person to introduce it here, because
What?
the word diaper, because that wasn't the
Oh,
point of any of what you're talking about, right? It
right.
fun accessory, helpful to get you into space, whatever. But this really is a con about, well, as the name suggests, age play, and you're describing really rich age play activities.
That's a really good call out. I'm counting on you this episode because of my lack of Adderall in my world to be
Shortage
the
is hitting hard.
brains. The shortage is hitting me so hard that I'm pretty sure I've said about 8,000 more words than I've needed to.
No, it's
But I'm
you're doing.
counting on you and your editing skills, both verbal editing, like you just did, and just actual technical editing to
Oh, I'm
make
not
this.
editing shit. This one's going out as is.
No, make this palatable. I'll give my social security number if it means you'll have to get on there. But yeah, like it was age play heavy activity, and I have been missing that
Hmm.
experience. I
Yeah.
didn't want it to be an experience where I dressed up, I wore the accoutrement, and I went there and I just spoke like an adult
Yeah.
to people all day.
Yeah.
Instead, it was like, it was the perfect, like, in a way that in my adult life, people don't normally act so like openly and vulnerably with each other.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just wonderful.
I could just hear it in your voice, and you sound so different than in previous years, and it feels so
Yeah.
different. I mean, I can just hear in your voice the joy, the glee, the relaxation of having truly engaged. And what strikes me is that the con actually didn't change much, but
Mm,
you did, and you and your partner
yeah.
intentionally created a very different experience this time.
We did. Yeah. It was, I I told him kind of early on like what I really needed, and he really, I mean, he really came through. And there was a
Mm.
lot of time when I'm sure it would have been tempting to like direct because he's a big,
Hmm.
like to sort of direct our activity, but he kind of just let me run wild, which was
Hmm.
exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Was like I kind of knew, my like little brain knew what it wanted to do, and he just kind of like came with me, and like I was worried. I said, "Are you having a good time at all?" And he was like, "I'm having an excellent time."
Oh,
And I was
good.
so excited, and like so it was really good. I didn't worry too much about how he was experiencing the convention. And it was by his own design. He made sure it was like I didn't need to worry about it.
Hmm.
He told me he was having fun after my first ask. And then, yeah, yeah, I was small, and that was really what I wanted. I just wanted to be small, you know?
Yeah.
And that
And
was,
kudos
and
to both of you. I mean, you communicated that want very clearly
oh
up
gosh,
front.
yeah.
And then your partner really responded and rose to that and met that need while it sounds like taking care of his own needs and having a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just generally a great lesson for people in partnerships that I have learned the hard way by doing it poorly. Is that sometimes when somebody's communicating a need over and over again, it's not that they have an endless need, it's that you've never focused on it long enough to fill it. And then once that need is heard, is communicated, heard, and in some way met, sometimes that's it for a while. It's just that if you keep hearing it over and over and over again, it's that it's actually not getting heard or it's being heard but dismissed.
And I
And
guess
that's a
in that,
mistake.
and I guess in that moment, the right, the wisdom would be if you keep hearing it, you have to, I guess, ask how it can be filled.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what it would be, but it would be
Yeah.
something along the lines of stop and say, okay, I keep trying to fill this. It's not working. Am I just not pressing the right buttons? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what needs to stop? What needs to change so that I'm not exerting all of this energy trying to make this happen
Yeah.
and it's not happening?
Yeah. So we've talked about some really fun things and really successful things. Was there anything that you missed out on or wish you had done or done differently at CAP this year?
Hmm. Well, whenever we left, we had the opportunity to spend a good portion of Sunday morning and Sunday early afternoon at the con. But we decided instead to go off site to hang out with some of our kinky friends who hadn't been able to go to the convention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in that moment, when we were deciding, it kind of came out that we'd done everything that we wanted to do at the convention, and we
Hmm.
touched on everything we wanted to touch on. And um, I guess other than spending more time with certain people that I feel like I got to spend a little time with, but I would have just loved to have had more time talking to them, catching up with them. And that's only possible if you spend less time with other people who you would then miss.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever left a CapCon and thought I spent all the time with all the people that I wanted to.
Yeah, same.
It's impossible. It could be 3 weeks long. I don't
Yeah.
think I could.
And I felt like I didn't know how to. The other regret I had was I didn't know how to respond to people who had love for us and our podcast. I did my best, but I felt like such an awkward duck. Like,
What is it about it when people say that they love us on our podcast?
I don't know. I just want to be able to say thank you in a way that like encompasses everything that I feel.
Hmm.
And I don't know how to do that. And so I just keep saying, that tickles me. That touches my heart. Thank you. That tickles me. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. And what I mean is all of that, but also I like really wish that like I could just give a big hug because I don't have the words.
Hmm.
You know, I regret not having the vocabulary I wish I had for that situation a couple times when it came up.
Yeah. I mean, some things are just so heart oriented and so big. I don't think there are words. It's in your expression. It's in your body. I've learned to just like accept that I'm not going to have the right words, so I just say thank you. That means so much to me, and then hopefully, some part of my body is communicating just how big that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is there?
anybody who's out there who said that, know that what really happened inside of me was so much bigger than my like goofy ass smile.
Yeah. My guess is they probably felt richly rewarded by your goofy ass smile.
Oh, I hope so.
Because
And
I
not
mean,
completely put off. Like, oh
ah,
no, back away. Ah, what is that?
ah. I had a mentor once tell me years and years and years ago that when somebody gives you a compliment or somebody says, here's something wonderful that you've done in my life, that essentially it's like like they grew a bouquet of roses for you and they're really proud to hand them to you. And the like one of the things that I had a bad habit of doing was like, oh no, or like deflecting it or whatever.
Mm,
Um, and if and that's like cutting the heads off the roses they just grew for you and being like, I just deserve the stems. Um, and so
mm.
instead, I've learned to say, wow, thank you, and see what they're giving me as a gift. And what would I do if you brought me a bouquet of homegrown roses? I would say, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
That's a really beautiful way to think about that.
Yeah. Because they want you to have it. When somebody gives you that feedback, they want you to have it. And it sounds like you did a great job saying thank you. That means so much to me.
I hope so. I hope that I know that I was self deprecating in
Mm.
a way that wasn't helpful and I'm sure kind of hurt in the way that you're describing the stems being
Mm.
all that was left. But what I was trying to do is say, oh my God, don't throw me the ball. I can't catch. Like,
Mm.
I don't know what to do.
We're mixing
Um,
we're mixing metaphors. We're throwing roses. Everything
oh
is
God.
chaos. Is there anything else that you want to share about CapCon
Um,
that we haven't talked about?
yes, friends, con drop is real. We should talk about more how to manage your con drop
Ooh,
in a near
how?
future podcast.
Yes, we should. How are you managing this week?
This week I am managing by being like fully engrossed in the way that only I like in the way that I can only put this much pressure on myself,
Hmm.
just fully engrossed in my work.
Yeah.
And alternately being fully engrossed in my work and a little bit bratty. Just
Hmm.
like just, not handling it very well.
Yeah.
Um,
I That's a pretty good way to do it.
but and but it's also really hard for me to reach out to people after I've spent face to face time with them or even respond to them
Hmm.
because it feels so much like admitting how far away you are now.
Hmm.
And hopefully they're like also experiencing a lot of grace for themselves and they kind of get we're all just putting it back together after a raucous
Yep.
5 days.
Yep. Yeah. I will encourage. We'll talk about Condrop when we do the interviews for
Yes.
with your new friends, but Condrop is real, and I encourage everybody, like, give yourself grace to be a little weird for a week or so. You're going to have heart sickness. You're going to have body fatigue. You're going to struggle to integrate that very out of world experience into your world. And both are real and both are meaningful. And they're gonna squish together kind of weird for a little while. So give yourself lots of grace to sleep and be sad and feel that heartache and that missing of the experience and the people, because that's your body and your heart telling you something, that you had a really great experience.
Mm.
um, and that's okay. It's okay to feel those things. If you try not to feel them, they will stretch out forever, so
And I
let it
know
come.
one of my one of my best friends who just so happens to be a kinky weirdo like us
Hmm.
left the con And I didn't hear back from them for a little while. And I was like, please tell me you're okay. And they were like, I just slept for 13
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also going to happen to some of you if that's the way you process and rebuild. Um,
Yeah.
it's totally normal. You're not super sick. You're
No.
just
I
tired.
hope.
I hope too.
Well, R&T, this is so cool. And we're going to put this, I think, as a bonus episode because it's just so unique that you and I just get to chat with each other for a period of time like this. I'm thrilled that you and your partner had an awesome time. And next time, hopefully we can both go and bring partners and just have a wonderful time together. But I'm thrilled that you got to go solo. And thank you for bringing me into your vicarious experience and teaching me along the way.
Of course. And I definitely observed some feelings of worry about being at the con with you because I know it will bring big feelings.
Mm.
You know, even if you know what you're doing is the right choice, it can definitely be a little bit hard
Yeah.
to see each other in such an intimate space with someone else.
Yeah.
But I look forward to navigating it with you. So
Likewise.
and I also really look forward to seeing how you recover any wisdom from this bouncy ADHD addled podcast that we've just compiled with you
Hey,
saying things and me going bing, 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 bing.
pinball,
So,
as you know, is one of my favorite hobbies. So I enjoy the random pinging around.
well, here's an
And
hour-long multi-ball. Good luck to you.
we'll leave it to our listeners to decide where the wisdom lies. But friends, you can look forward to an actual sort of more typical Love and Brief coming up soon.
Yes.
It's just a bonus episode, but we wanted to capture the experience. I wanted to capture the experience with R&T. Thank you for listening to us ramble back and forth together. And look for that will most likely be our next episode of Love in Brief.